Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my preview of the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Manchester United. And as you can see, well, we're outside Wembley right now and obviously talking about the game. And what is there to say? I mean, I can't lie and say that I'm optimistic because I'm just not, especially the performance at Newcastle. How can that give you any sort of optimism ahead of a huge game like that against Manchester United? And there's just so many things coming into it, you know. They finished second, we finished fifth. Even though the points difference is maybe not as big as you might possibly think, it is still a case of we got battered 3-0 by Newcastle. Yes, United, haven't gotten the best results in the last few games either, but still like 3-0 by Newcastle. Like, how can you be confident? And yes, it's a different competition and the FA Cup and all sorts. It's still not a situation you want to be in if you're all being honest. And what comes to it as well is that Antonio Conte has never won a domestic or European Cup in his career, whether that's at Juventus or at Chelsea or, well, any of the smaller clubs he's been to. And Mourinho, as we all know, is pretty good at winning titles once he gets to the final. So that is obviously doesn't bode all too well either. While yes, United have finished second and we have finished fifth, we still do have players that can beat them. Of course, we have players like Eden Hazard, like Willian, like Fabregas, like Conte that are very, very good players. Even Thibaut Courtois in goal is a very good goalkeeper. But when you look at Manchester United's team, they've got the best goalkeeper in the league, if not the best goalkeeper in the world. They have a decent defence. I mean, they've conceded, very few amount of goals, let's say, this season. They have a very good midfield in Matic, who they signed from us, who's been very instrumental for them. They've got Pogba, who on the day is one of the best players in the league. And then they've got Lukaku, who has a poor first touch, but everything else he does is pretty solid, even though he's actually a doubt for the game and might be injured. But everything else, they've just got a good team. They obviously signed Alexis Sanchez as well. So I just can't feel too much optimism. And now getting into Antonio Conte's pre-match press conference, which just took place a little bit earlier on today. On Team News, he basically said that specifically when asked about Thibaut Courtois, whether he will start or not, he said he basically won't tell the public the team right now, even though obviously Willy Caballero started the last few games, or all of the games in the FA Cup, including the semi-final. We'll just have to wait and see whether Courtois starts or not. And on Team News and Injury News, Conte just said that Emerson Palmieri is injured, but everyone else should be fit. But obviously that still means that Ethan Amparo is out with his ankle injury and David Luiz won't be involved. Whether he's injured or not, who the bloody hell knows. And then again, as he is so many times, he was asked whether this will be his last game as a Chelsea manager. And he got, he gave a bit of a funny reaction to that, because he said, I can tell you for sure that this is my last game. Took a little bit of a pause and then said, this season. And in correlation with what Willian said to a Brazilian TV station a few days ago, when he was like, asked, what do you think of Conte? And he was like, do you really want me to tell you? And he was like, no, let's just wait for the next interview. The next interview obviously being after the cup final. So that says quite a lot and, just indicates more and more that Conte is going to leave, which we all kind of know, but we don't know because it's not been made official yet. Otherwise, the press conference was a bit of a farce, as it almost always is, because they just ask the same questions over and over and over again, and Conte gives the same answer over and over and over again. But now coming to Chelsea and speaking about how I think we should line up, and maybe also how I think Antonio Conte will line up. Well, it's a tough call right now choosing between 3-4-3 and 3-5-2. Like, I wouldn't start either, my standpoint on this. I would prefer to start with a 4 at the back formation, but we just won't do that. That's about as likely as Arsenal winning the league next season. My cameraman didn't enjoy that. Between 3-5-2 and 3-4-3, we got battered by Newcastle 3-0, playing the 3-5-2. But we've also lost a lot of games by quite a big margin as well, playing 3-4-3. So then you've got to come to basically other sort of factors to decide which formation you're going to play. So United in the past, whether that was last season or this season, have always liked to take Hazard out of the game, whether that's by man-marking him through under Herrera or just other ways of just getting him out the game, basically making him invisible. And that is obviously easier for them in a 3-5-2 because he's got less support around him. And when he does have less support around him and just the midfield behind him, we're kind of having to hope for the midfielders and the other striker to create something, and I'm not sure whether that will work so well. So from that point of view, you kind of should go 3-4-3 because he has at least one other, attacking player with him. But United have a very, very strong midfield, especially physically, with Matic, with Pogba, with Herrera, whoever else they're going to play. But really, by playing 3-4-3 and playing just two central midfielders, that's just giving up our midfield. That's just giving up the midfield battle to them before we even start playing. And that's not a good idea against Manchester United. That really isn't. And with that, we basically have to start 3-5-2, as much as I think Hazard will almost be invisible for a lot of the game. Hopefully he can pop up with some magic, but I think that will make him invisible. But it's just a bit more important to win the midfield battle than to have Hazard be amazing, and obviously that's not a guarantee either, even if we do start 3-4-3. So there's a lot coming into it, but yeah, like I said, I would go 3-5-2. For my lineup, I would start Thibaut Courtois in goal, but whether it's Willy Caballero or not, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, he started all the other FA Cup games, including the semi-final. At back three, I'd go with Cesar Spilicueta, Gary Cahill and Antonio Rudiger. I wouldn't start Andreas Christensen, not a fan of him at the moment. Then the wing-backs, obviously with Emerson being injured, it has to be Alonso on the left and Moses on the right. 2 centre midfielders, 3 centre midfielders even. Conte obviously has to start. You're probably just going to have to go for Bakayoko, as much as he's not been great all season, let's be honest, even though he has been a bit better recently. And then between Fabregas and Barkley, I'm really not sure about, because, you know, Fabregas hasn't been very good recently. He doesn't have the pace. He doesn't have the, you know, the grit, the fight sometimes. You know, he does sometimes, but not every game, and we just really need it tomorrow, because otherwise I don't see much hope for us. And Barkley was, for me, the only outfield player against Newcastle that was somewhat decent. Whether that warrants starting, you know, the FA Cup final is a different story. But to be honest, can't really decide between those two. Don't really mind, to be honest. And then obviously, you know, up front, it is Hazard behind the striker, and then it just has to be Olivier Giroud, you know, as the proper striker up front, because, you know, Morata, he's not full of confidence. He's not done well. A lot of fans are unhappy with him, and I'm sure he knows that. Like, you know, the players use social media more than I think some of us realise. So I think it just has to be Giroud, and maybe bring Morata on during the game, whatever we can do, you know, with at the time, or even start both together like we did away at Burnley, I think it was. Will we do that or not? Obviously, in my opinion, it would have to be Eden Hazard behind them. But like I said, I don't really think that Antonio Conte is going to do that. But now coming to my prediction ahead of the FA Cup final tomorrow, of course. And like I said before, I'm not confident. I'm really not confident, but that doesn't mean that I'm saying we can't win. Like, of course we can win. We have players to beat anyone on our day, especially, you know, it's even more helpful if it's not their day. But prediction-wise, I'm just really struggling, you know, to make a decision about that. So,
talk to me.
So what we do have now is basically Lewis to help me out with the prediction and basically just tell me, what do you think? Who do you think is going to win? Do you think we actually stand a chance tomorrow on that?
I'll level with you. It would be typical Chelsea to play the way we've played this week and then just come out here and win the FA Cup final. But if you ask me to be really honest, we're facing Mourinho, a manager who's only lost 1 cup final in his entire managerial career, and I don't think Conte's even won one in his career as a manager. So, looking at it, like, I don't think we're going to get thrashed, but I think we're going to lose by at least a goal or 2. If you ask me to pick, I'm probably just going to say 1-0, 2-1, maybe 2-0, but I'm not that confident.
Yeah. For me, it's like both managers like to be very pragmatic. So for me, it would just be very typical if it went into extra time at 0-0 or 1-0, you know, after 90 minutes.
It's going to be a boring game.
It will be a boring game. But, you know, if we go into extra time at 1-0 or 0-0, what's going to happen in extra time? I've got no bloody idea. Like, I can't even lie. I've got no bloody idea. I just hope we win. I just hope we win. Whether we will or not, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's.
We would.
Yeah.
I love with you. I'm not confident, but that's just me.
Yeah. I don't think there's much else to say. So that's really it from us. You know, leave us all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Leave us your match predictions, your score predictions. Who do you think will win? Do you think Chelsea can win? Do you think Chelsea will win? Let us know down in the comment section below. Leave us your preferred and predicted, you know, lineups and formations down in the comment section below as well. Leave a like if you did enjoy this video. Don't forget to check out our social medias. You know, I'm Last1507 and you are
Carefree Lewis G.
Exactly, and that's on both Instagram and Twitter. Follow us over there, we'd massively appreciate it. And of course, you know, don't forget to subscribe to 100% Chelsea if you haven't already. And also don't forget to click the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all videos, about all uploads. Otherwise, you won't even know that we upload. And that's just a bit frustrating for both you, you know, and us. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. Can't wait for the game tomorrow.
See you soon.
And we'll see you next time.